Hi everyone, this is Aaron. In this video, I'll talk about how you can code your own upgraded fmax and fmin function, as well as a pseudo range function. So at the end of the video, this is what you will get. So this is the new fmax function, which gives you both the x value and the y value. And this is the pseudo range function, which will give you the absolute minimum and the absolute maximum, which if you combine will give you the range. However, just before you get too excited, I regret to tell you that this range function isn't perfect. And that is because if the function you entered is not continuous, then it will still give you the absolute minimum and maximum, but this won't be the range. However, this is indeed a problem, but I think it's still a pretty good function overall. So with that in mind, let's just get started. I'm first going to create a upgraded fmin function, and I'm going to call it fmin new. So let's remind ourselves of the syntax of the fmin. So you would first enter the function, then the variable, then the two bonds. Since we're only upgrading it, the syntax should be the same. So I'll just copy and paste it here. Now, let's think about what this line will actually give us. Going back to our example, it should give us something like x equals c, right? So this line is good, and we want to display it. Next, we want to display the corresponding y value, right? And if you think about it, the way to do it is to just sub this thing inside our function. So it should be something like this, right? Which just means substitute x equals c into f. And let's display that. So this should be how it works, but sadly, it's not that simple. And I'll give you an example to help you see why. So TI will tell you invalid constraint, and that just means that this line, for whatever reason, doesn't work. Luckily, there is a way to get around this problem, and that is to store this thing in a variable, which I will call q. So if we just store this as a variable, then q is now equivalent as this to this. So now we can just replace all of the fmin with q, and this just magically solves the problem. Yeah, and you can see this is the minimum y value. Now there's just one more problem. So because we have defined q equals something, this will actually change our previous definition of q. So for example, if you have defined q equals 3 previously, then calling this function will change the definition of q. Now this is not a serious problem, but it might be bad if q is an important variable that you're going to use in the exam, right? So the way to solve this problem is to use a local keyword. And what this does is it basically localizes q inside this function. So q will exist inside the function, but it wouldn't affect the q outside the function. So basically, if you define q equals 3 and you call this function again, it won't change this definition. So q. Oh wait, I haven't saved it. Right. Yeah. So now let's try that again. It shouldn't affect this q. Yep. So that's great. So now we have got a upgraded version of fmin, and after doing that, the rest will be pretty simple. So I'm just gonna quickly do the upgraded fmax, and it's basically just a matter of copy and paste, to be honest, except that you need to change the min to the max. Yeah. Oh yeah. One more thing. Just to make this more readable, Let's write something called ymin equals, because to be honest, this thing isn't so readable. Like, you wouldn't know it's the minimum y value. So let's just make it clear for ourselves. Alright, and let's make this ymax equals. And lastly, let's create the range function. And believe it or not, it's simpler than what you might think. So since we have already defined a fmin and fmax, range is basically just putting them together. And that's literally just it. Right, so now let's test it. Everything should work now. So if I just type in a random function, it'll tell you the absolute minimum and where it occurs, as well as the absolute maximum and when it occurs. So that's it. Now you've got an upgraded version of fmin, fmax, and you've got your pseudo range function. If you enjoyed this kind of video and would like to see more, make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you can see my future videos. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.